Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. And it's Betty here. I was, thinking about what I could do next for you guys. And since it's August, what does August make you think of? Bonfires, being outside, making s'mores. And, I think everybody knows how to make s'mores. So we're not going to do that. But I do have this fantastic recipe for s'mores bars. And they are incredible and much easier just to hand out, and nobody has to get too close to the fire to melt their marshmallows. What you need for this recipe is actually quite simple, and I think I'm going to have to shut the door because kids are playing in the yard. And they're not my kids, so I can't tell them to be quiet. Anyhow, so what we need is, first off, you're going to grease and prepare a 9x13 pan. I've put parchment paper in the bottom and I have butter on the sides to make sure it doesn't stick. If you don't use parchment paper, you don't have parchment paper, just really give it a good grease so it doesn't stick to the bottom. Okay. The other thing you're going to need is a whisk and a spatula. All right. All right, I've already gotten things going here. And a spatula and a large bowl double boiler. Okay, that's because everything is going to be done in this one bowl. So when you create your double boiler, so you see that on my stove, you want a fairly large bowl. And as far as ingredients go, pretty simple. 1 cup of butter, and so 1 cup of butter, 2 eggs, 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 3/4 of a cup of flour, 2 cups of marshmallows, and yes, these are not your regular marshmallows. I actually tried my hand at making my own. If you are interested in making your own, I'll link you to the video that I watched to learn how to make these, and they were super simple. The only thing I changed was that I used honey instead of corn syrup, and I only put half the vanilla because just from experience, I thought it was a little too much. It would be overpowering. And you can really, even with 1 teaspoon, you can really taste the vanilla in here. 2 cups of marshmallow, 2 cups of chocolate chips, 4 cups of coarsely chopped or broken up graham crackers. The way I do this is I usually put it in a plastic bag. I'll just put the sleeve and I'll just show you. It comes in a sleeve. I'm sure all of them come like this. Usually doesn't matter the brand that you use, and throw that into a plastic bag, and with a mallet or something hard, just smash it up. And you don't want it to be too fine. You want it to have pieces kind of like that. All right, so it's just probably easier if I put them up like that. So not too big, not too small. All right, and that I find to be the quickest and easiest way. And it usually takes about 2 of those sleeves to make the 4 cups, and that's right here. And so what we get started with is you put the 1 cup of flour. Oh my goodness, my brain is scrambled today. 1 cup of butter into your double boiler, and you melt it. All right, easy enough. And I've already gotten that started, so it's actually done. While we were chatting, it finished up. So I'm just going to put my oven mitt on, and you can see here. I'm going to see if I can. Nicely melted butter. I guess I'm going to have to. There you go. Anyway, so that's the butter. I'm just going to set this down so it can cool for a minute. All right, and take the spatula out. We'll need it later. I'm just going to put it aside because what we're going to need is our whisk. So once this cools, it needs maybe about 5 minutes or so. You just don't want it to be too hot because the next ingredient is eggs. Oh, and I forgot, you do need vanilla extract. Okay, so you need a teaspoon of vanilla as well in this recipe. All right, so we're going to give this a second to cool down, and then we'll start putting this thing together. I've already turned on my oven. It is actually working in the background to get up to temperature, and it is 350 is what we need to preheat it to. And because this is actually really quick to throw together, you start that before you, just as you're getting started, before you do the butter. All right, so let's give that a minute, and then we'll start pulling this thing together. Okay, we are ready to go. So this is warm to the touch, but no longer hot. Okay, and it's still very melted. We're just gonna whisk the egg in. I always, just in case it's still a bit warm, I always start whisking as I pour them in. You get these eggs all the way in, and my oven just hit temperature. That's the ding in there. Let's get all this egg in there. All right, so I'll move that aside. And then we add, it comes a lovely golden color. Hopefully you can see that well. Let me just move the marshmallows out of the way and everything. So you've got that in there. And what I'll do is I'll just dump the brown sugar, give that a little bit of a whisk. Let's make sure that all of this gets broken down. You don't want any lumps. Get rid of as many of those big lumps as you can. With your whisk, you're going to add the vanilla at this point. And I know I'm using, there we go, just a teaspoon of vanilla. Get that nicely incorporated in there. See, everything has a nice uniform color. And we're going to get rid of our spatula now. Just pop that in the sink. And we add our flour. Okay, so you just throw your 3/4 of a cup all-purpose flour. Grab your spatula. You don't, at this point, you don't want to overmix. So you're just going to make sure you get this all nicely incorporated. Just like that, as you can see. And we add the rest of it. That is our marshmallows. Those all out there, they're a little sticky. They said they're fresh this morning. Made. You don't have to use homemade ones, obviously. You can use the minis. I would actually recommend using minis if you're using the store-bought. You put all this together and we mix it through this batter so it all becomes incorporated. Okay? This is why we needed the big bowl, so you don't have everything pouring out, because it is quite a lot. And we get this all together and keep mixing until you've got it nicely incorporated. Okay, as you can see, it's all really well incorporated. Everything is gooey in here. Trick is diving down right to the bottom to lift up through everything to make sure it's all well incorporated. You need a little muscle because it's a pretty thick, it gets pretty thick and tough, but we just pour it right into our prepared dish, just like that. Just press it in to all the corners. Make sure you get everything out of here. Just gonna have to do that facing me so I can see it. Get the last of it in. And just press it right into the corners. So it goes all the way through. It will melt a little too when it's in the oven. There we go. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Now you'll see, because these are homemade marshmallows, they did melt up a little bit. If you use the store-bought ones, they won't melt. You'll see the tiny, that's why you want to use the minis, because they won't melt in this, because it really wasn't very warm anymore. But, and so you'll see pockets of the, here we go. You can also press this down with your hands if you want to. So that it's nice and down. We're going to pop this into the oven at 350. Like I said, it's preheated for 20 to 22, 23 minutes, depending on your oven, as I always say. And we'll throw that in there and we'll take a look what they look like when they're done. Okay, guys, they're done. And wait till you see this. I'm hoping, it's really hard for me to tell how well this shows up on the screen. Well, still gooey. You need to let this cool for about half an hour. You can see the bubbly, the marshmallow has gone brown on top, just the way you'd want it. It has gotten gooey. It's got to settle now for 30 minutes before we can cut it. There's no cutting corners on this one. You do need to let it really cool before you cut it. And but I'm not going to leave it here. I will come back and cut it and show you what they look like, and we'll give them a taste test together. Okay, so it's all cooled and ready to cut and try. So just grab a knife and cut the edges, because even though we buttered it, it's still gooey. So you want to get it away from the edge, just like that. There we go. And let's give them take a look at these. Let me just grab a plate. A little bit messy, but there we go. They'll solidify some more. It's not completely cooled, but there we go. Just give it a look at that. Yum. Let me know if you give them a try. Let me know what you think down below.